We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button. If you like our content, share this video with your family and your friends. If you want to donate, support this channel through a donation to support the college football's rebel outpost. Hit the $, make a comment, we'll get you a super chat as quick as we possibly can. Welcome everybody, one and all, into the studio that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a legend with your comments in the chat room and with your phone calls later in the show. I see that Ryan Thomas and the Evil Badger Jeff Olson are going back and forth. Ryan Thomas is on to something. Ryan Thomas says, I am on something. The chat room has begun. Right at the top of the show, let's do a roll call, and then we're going to talk about what we're going to talk about on this live show, July 9th, 2024. The Walking Geek is here. Lego Gators, Kerry Gold Nose, Big Ears Bo, Charlie Atwood, We Are Penn State, Scavin, Yes, Yes, Joaquin Morales, Matt Neeson, Chad Bracey, Ryan Thomas, Mr. Monkey Says, Mr. Buckeye, Gerald Jones is in the house. Chad Bracey, Robert Trunnell, The hot guy. Okay, so not during the Big 12 media days. Still could be. Big 12 media days is 2 days long. If we're talking about Josh Pate, and also Josh Pate kind of referred to by the end of the week. So, don't jump the gun. Maybe something happens. We're going to talk about that. I think after what Brett Yormark said today, we can eliminate one more candidate to be what Josh Pate was teasing us. Everybody. We can eliminate one more candidate and what this all could be. Our guest here at Peek Around the Corner, it's still a lie. It's still a lie. But one other guess, one other possibility, we can scratch it off. Jim Reese is in the house. Dave B is in the house. CFB plus, nothing super crazy about Big 12 Media Days. Brett Yormark continuing to sell the 12 and pursue more money and strength. Anthony Carlson, Spidey sense still tingling. Daniel Gorby. Of course, the evil Badger, Jeff Olson. Holy smokes. Les Austin is in the house. Mr. Bearcat is here. Cornelius Green, praise the Lord, Greg. Absolutely. Ricky is in the house. Ray is here. Ray is here. Go Bucks. Humble Bumble Duck. Clinton Moses. David Hall. Mick Stevens. Jimmy is here. Crab Cakes and Football. Greg New Thought. North Carolina State and Duke to the SEC. Blocking Big Ten and a no get Kansas. The Big Ten gets Florida State in Miami or Georgia Tech. Possibly. I mean, sure. Good speculation. But I want to hit on something before we get into what was talked about in the Big 12. I want to make something perfectly clear to everybody. Michael Uten. I will get to it right after roll call. Michael Uten is in the house. Tracy FSU. Terry Kane. Tuffy Duffy. Soap is in the huddle. Holy smokes. Grayson Ganoush. You think if they would have announced a partnership with Allstate or Red Bull, they would have done it at the beginning of their media days. Brett Yormark did say that they're working on it. They're working on a lot of things. That's one of them. Richard L., howdy, folks. So I don't think it's done yet, Grayson. I don't think the deal has been signed, sealed, and delivered. Mr. Colorado Buffalo, Richard L. is here. Adam Hunley, let's go Mountaineers. Thy Kev is in the house. Jay Baller. Okay. First of all, where are we? We are day one. I like to call it part one of the Big 12 Media Days. It's today and it's tomorrow. Brett Yormark, we're going to be going through Brett Yormark and what he said. And of course, we're all sitting on the edge of our seats in regards to what is this Josh Pate, what has he been teasing? And I was reminded in the comments section, hours after the show yesterday, that it was really when I was on Big 12 Mafia, there was a gentleman, Lee, who visits our channel here. Lee went into in the chat room and said he thought it was ESPN declining their 2027 option. Lee believed that was what Josh Pate is alluding to. I know other people have speculated on it. I know Moen speculated on it weeks ago when Josh Pate did his first tease. It struck me that couple nights ago on the live show, we kind of went through all the options. What does the evidence? We couldn't eliminate that one. We could not eliminate that ESPN is going to announce this week, starting this at the end of this week, that they are declining to distribute ACC's content beyond 2027. I could not eliminate that possibility of all the clues that Josh Pate has given out. I have no idea what Josh Pate is alluding to. I have eliminated some possibilities because of the information that I was given in the third week of May, and you all know that. I'm going to reiterate it one more time. So, I have no idea. I mean, if it's, but I just wanted to give a tip of the cap to Lee, who put it in the chat room, and other people have too. Don't get me wrong, but it was Lee putting it in at that time, and then just going over all the possible options of what this story could be. That seemed like the one that fit the clues that Josh Pate has put out. But I have no idea. It's a guess. I have no idea. If somebody alluded to something, if somebody has said something to me and I was given the go-ahead, I would report it to you all. I'm not holding back. I don't know what it is. And if somebody that I talk to knows what it is, they're not letting me know. It's a door closed to me. I don't know what it is. But my guess, just a wild guess, based upon process of elimination. That's how we got to that one. That's how we got to ESPN dropping the option beyond 2027 at ACC. There's a lot of good arguments against that happening. I have been the one that has been arguing against that happening. But it fits all the clues that Josh Pate has given out. Once we go through this, what Brett Yormark said, I think we can eliminate another possibility that we've been talking about in the open. And I also want to bring up something that a reporter brought up. But before we do that, what a reporter tweeted out that's gotten a lot of people upset. We're going to talk about that at Peek Around the Corner. So I've said this before. I'm probably going to say it once every live show until we get more information. But and look, you want clarity? This is why you come to College Football's Peek Around the Corner. I'm not going to hedge. There is no hedging here. Whatever this is, whatever Josh Pate is talking about, does not involve the Big Ten. And it's a 99% chance it doesn't involve the SEC in regards to they're going to expand with a team. Something has been settled. There's going to be an announcement. Josh Pate, in one of his first teases, was there's going to be realignment news, and it's going to be a bomb that goes off in July. It may go off in July. Realignment news. He categorized it as realignment news. The very first time that he had that glass of water shaken a little bit, right? T-Rex. Realignment news. possible bomb. And then he described it as it's going to affect Florida State and other ACC schools, plural, and that Florida State is the face of it, but not the only one that's going to be affected by this news. A lot of people have taken that and said, well, this school's going there, this school's going there, this school's going there, this school's going there, and it's okay to speculate. Of course. But I'm here to report that it's not that. I don't know what it is, but it ain't that. The Big Ten is not active. The SEC is not active. They haven't had any first-party talks. If a school, if it is the story that the ACC is getting dropped, the option is getting dropped after 2027, and the gore is only 3 years long, that is a major bomb, realignment news bomb. It's going to affect all these schools. And what Josh Pate said in his last tease was, this is a decision that's been getting put off. Now people are ready to pull the lever and push the button. And then after it gets done, who's to know what happens next? Those were his words. And he said a whole lot of people are going to get busy. A whole lot of people are going to be busy. I do not think what Josh Pate is referring to is Florida State saying, bye-bye, we're leaving the conference. It doesn't fit. Or Florida State and Clemson is leaving the conference right now, bye-bye. It doesn't fit, in my opinion. And I know, I've been pounding the table, that nothing has been done, nothing is done, not even close, in regards to what school is going where. They haven't had one serious meeting, Big Ten, SEC, with any of these schools. No first-party talks, no lawyers, no commissioners, no direct, no direct representation of the school or the conference meeting together. The Big Ten is going to be deliberate. It's going to be cautious. It's going to wait for all the options to open up. Now, so what has happened is, and I have repeated this since May 23rd, people say, Greg, you're crazy. You are absolutely nuts. You are naive. There is no way that Clemson and Florida State went to the courts without knowing where they are going to end up. There is no way that Florida State doesn't have a good idea where they are going. It doesn't work that way, Greg. Florida State went to the courts because they've been given a wink, wink, and a nod, nod. Some say handshake. Some say an offer. None of those has happened between the Big Ten and Florida State. None of those things have happened between the SEC and Florida State. Greg, how can you be so sure? I can't go there. The only way I can say to you is, if you believe that I've been given bad information, or you believe I'm misinterpreting it, or whatever, then get prepared to come on here and give me my big L. Get prepared, get ready to go. This is one of the, hey, this is a college football peek around the corner YouTube channel. We've broken a lot of news. We've nailed pretty much all the stories. If you think this is the one we got wrong, good. Get ready then. Get ready, and give me a hard time when the news breaks that Clemson's got something set up with the SEC, or Florida State's ready to go with the Big Ten or whatever. But you're not going to see it because it's not true. It's not happening. I don't know if it was a change in the chatter in the third week of May or if it's something that a door opened up, whatever it was. I'm not going to go there. But on May 23rd, May 28th, and then every day since then, we're telling you, nothing is settled on what happens after the ACC implodes. There's been no first party talks. And number two, the Big Ten, we know the Big Ten has made no decisions on what they were going to do. The key is not in the ignition. So if you think I'm completely wrong, and pretty much everybody does, that's fine. You can let me know in the chat, phone calls, and then when we're all going to find out something together here, I don't know when. But when we find it out together, when we find out the backstory, we'll see if I take the big L here at Peek Around the Corner. But I'm being clear. I'm on an island. There is no hedging here at Peek Around the Corner. The odds were taken down May 23rd, 6 weeks ago. And we're more confident in that. We really truly believe that, well, we know, not just believe. We know that the Big Ten, especially the Big Ten, is minding its own business right now, not just legally, but they're not making any moves until all the options come open to them. And then they'll start having discussions, first party talks, and we'll take it from there. I wanted to make that clear. So, and I understand if a lot of you still think that might be what Josh Pate is alluding to. That's fine. I want to hear your prediction. I want to hear your theory. Let me know if all that is a part of what you think Josh Pate is saying. I'm just reporting to you that we firmly believe it's not. But what it is, I do not know. I'm just guessing on the media agreement being dropped after 2027. We can eliminate one other option on the Josh Pate story. Ryan Thomas, thank you for the super chat. Until the House settlement is finalized, everything is just processed cheese, folks. Nothing happens in realignment until that sets the chessboard. That is most likely absolutely true. But I will add this. Even if there was no House settlement case, even if there was no governance situation, what I just said about the Big Ten would still be true. And at some point, it will be clear on that. Thank you, Ryan Thomas, for the super chat. I do appreciate it. I know, guys, I'm getting hammered every single day from everywhere. And that's okay. Because we are being clear in our reporting. No hedging. Nothing has been decided. Not even close. The key is not in the ignition when it comes to Big Ten expansion, and 99% chance it's not in the ignition for the SEC as well. And it will become clear, I believe, at some point. Well, it will become clear at some point, obviously. Either way, we're going to get to the Big 12 Media Days, Part 1. the commissioner with all the mascots watching him, Brett Yormark, Colin Wilson. Ollie Gordon will not be suspended for his DUI arrest. Big slate to kick off this season against the FCS. Two-time defending, reigning, undisputed champions, the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. And then Arkansas. Oklahoma State is not going to suspend Ollie Gordon for that first game. That surprised me. When that news came out on the DUI, I said, oh, Oklahoma State against South Dakota State. South Dakota State, their defense is unique. Their defensive line lines up with a lot of space in between the linemen. They do a lot of twists, stunts all over the place. They confuse other teams' offensive lines. That is the key to South Dakota State Jackrabbits defense, and it has been for the last 4 or 5 years, at least since 2019, because I'll tell you, I was at the Gopher game, opening game, 2019, Minnesota versus South Dakota State Jackrabbits. That was the year that Minnesota ended up 11-2. They defeated Auburn on January 1st. Minnesota Golden Gophers finished 10th in the country in 2019. The opening game against South Dakota State, I was up in the nosebleed seats, and you could see how utterly confused the Gophers were. South Dakota State could do whatever they wanted during 3/4 of that game. Gophers' offensive line was absolutely befuddled. And then the fourth quarter was all the Gophers. They must have figured something out, but it was interesting to watch. Let's put it that way. Well, South Dakota State has done that over and over and over and over again. They're the two-time FCS champions playing Oklahoma State. And I thought Ollie Gordon wasn't going to play, but Coach Gundy said, no, he is going to play. There's going to be an internal repercussions, but Ollie Gordon is going to play game 1, game 2. So interesting decision by Gundy. Brett McMurphy. Big 12's Brett Yormark. There's never been a better time than right now to be in the Big 12. We are more relevant now than ever before. Ross Dellinger. Some nuggets from Brett Yormark as he opens Big 12 Media Day here in Vegas. All eyes are now on the Big 12. We are more relevant now than ever before. We've solidified ourselves as one of the top 3 conferences in America. Brett Yormark throws a little bit of an elbow at ACC, Jim Phillips, and the ACC. Brett Yormark said that the Big 12 sponsorship revenue grew by 79%, and ticket revenue grew by 23% during the 2003-24 season. Heather Dinich. Yormark said the Big 12 Conference will be the deepest in America. It might be the most competitive. 9 schools have at least a 10% chance to reach its championship game and a 5% chance to win the title, according to ESPN Analytics. Dennis Dodd. Dennis Dodd. Dennis Dodd. Before we get to Dennis Dodd's controversial tweet, thank you, Tom Watson, for the 5 gifted memberships to the PATC community. Holy smokes. Thank you for your incredible generosity, Tom. Let me see if I can still figure out who received N.E. Young Seminole, CFB Plus, Grayson Ganoush, and Soap. Please all thank Tom Watson when you get a chance, for he gifted you a early peak Cloak and Dagger membership. Holy smokes. Tom, thank you for your incredible generosity. Mr. Watson, N.E. Young Seminole, CFB Plus, Grayson Ganoush, Soap, you all are hereby officially knighted Cloak and Dagger. Thank you, Tom. I do appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Now, we got a lot to get through here in the Big 12. We're going to go to a very controversial tweet. We are exploring all options. 2 years later, I guess you could say we are still open for business. Yormark. Gonzaga. FSU. CFB Plus, I interpreted that as business related, not realignment. And I would agree for the most part. Definitely. They've got some business decisions to make. We'll get to that in a moment. Now, of course, people are going after Dennis Dodd because he put Gonzaga in FSU. And when he put up FSU, he doesn't mean Fresno State. Just because the Big 12, Fresno State's not a candidate. Brett Yormark has never gone after them, but they have spoken with Gonzaga. Now, is Dennis Dodd, did he put that up just to antagonize the Florida State Seminole fan base? Is he tweaking? Is he giving, is he just doing what Dennis Dodd does at times? Yes, for the most part, I believe so. However, and I don't want people to take this the wrong way. Let me back up. We have said there's been third-party talks between Clemson and Florida State with the Big Ten, with the SEC. There's only so much you can do with third-party talks. There's only so much. It's not going to get the ball rolling. It's just you get some evaluations. You're told maybe who you should try to get a relationship with. Third-party talks barely gets you out of the starting blocks. There's been no first party talks. There's been no lawyers involved. It can happen. It's not been happening. And I understand pretty much everybody else is reporting that it's been going on, that Florida State kind of knows where they're going. It's not true. But there has been third-party talks. And so I know that. Other people know that. Obviously. And a couple weeks ago, I don't know when it was, last week, there's no winks either, Thomas. No winks, no handshakes, no wink and a nod. I'm telling you, and it's not a shot at any school in the ACC, but I'm telling you, the Big Ten and the SEC, but especially the Big Ten, there is no there. They have an expansion list of candidates a couple years old. They're going to open that up again when they have to, but there's been nothing going on. And I know everybody disagrees with me pretty much. That's fine. At some point, it's going to be made clear. But 2 weeks ago, we reported here at Peek Around the Corner that there has been third-party talks between the Big 12 and Florida State and Clemson. And I got just crushed by other places, and that's fine. And I'm not saying it's all that big a deal, because it isn't. There is no first party talks going on. The Big 12 can't talk to Florida State. Their legal department will not allow that to happen. But there has been some reaching out, third party, and that was recent. So, again, the chatter behind the curtain, the chattering class, there is a consensus out there that the SEC and the Big Ten, nothing has really got them going. They're just going to wait. No decisions. The only, of course, the Big Ten's number one target is Notre Dame, and the SEC's North Carolina. And beyond that, it's just a big void of, we don't know, we'll wait and see, we'll see what happens. And so I think, I think this is a accumulation of knowing that Florida State, this tweet, this post from Dennis Dodd at the Big 12 Media Days, knowing that there has been some third-party talks, no first-party talks, and the perception and the reality that there's nothing going on with the SEC and the Big Ten, Dennis Dodd just put it out there. However, and I'm going to say this, there's nothing going on between the Big 12 and Florida State because, first of all, I don't think Florida State, that's not going to be their primary target. Florida State's going to run the ground ball out on Big Ten and SEC options. And Florida State cannot have meaningful conversations with the Big 12 right now anyways. So I think Dennis Dodd just put it up there mainly to tweak people. Brett McMurphy, the Big 12's Brett Yormark. This is no time to press pause. Ross Dellinger, Big 12 Mexico, originally announced as a basketball and football games in Mexico, is now pivoting to women's soccer in baseball games. Yormark says. Very interesting. Very interesting. Women's soccer and baseball. Big 12, Mexico. Yormark says the naming rights in private equity is on the table. We're going to get more into that here in a little bit. The Big 12 has launched a radio partnership with TuneIn. Sounds like it will be getting a 24/7 radio station. Very interesting. Baseball is huge in Mexico and in northern Mexico, in a couple of their biggest states in northern Mexico. So there's parts of Mexico that baseball is big. They have 32 different states. Some of them, baseball is a big thing. Some of it doesn't even exist. Radio station, 24/7 radio station. And then there was some talks, we'll get into it later, about Brett Yormark talking about, Saturdays. We're gonna see a post here soon. Saturdays, there's a lot of stuff going on Saturdays. Maybe the Big 12 should be looking at some different time slots. Andy Staples. Curious which TV windows the Big 12 is exploring. Are we talking breakfast football at UCF in West Virginia? UCF, West Virginia fans, would you like a morning breakfast game? Would you want that to happen on a Saturday morning before Big 12 before Big Noon kicks off on Fox? That'd be interesting. Heather Dinich. Yormark said he wants to see how the 12-team college football playoff unfolds. Let's get this year right, he said. And I believe that the Big Ten and the SEC share the same thoughts. They just want to see how this year goes. 12-team playoff, all these tiebreakers that we don't know what they are yet, the tiebreaker procedures in these conferences. Everybody wants to see how their season goes in these bigger, larger conferences. They want to see how a 12-team playoff unfolds. Brett McMurphy, Big 12's Brett Yormark. I wake up every morning thinking one thing: the Big 12 being the best version of itself. Heather Dinich. Yormark is bullish on the future of the Big 12 Conference and leans into that confidence and focus whenever asked about the SEC and the Big Ten flexing their power. Same answer this spring in Scottsdale. Yormark is bullish on the future. Okay, now we're going to dive into this a little bit. In relation to what Josh Pate has been teasing us the last couple of weeks. Jason Shear, Wildcat Authority, 247 Arizona, 247. Yormark says having a capital partner makes a ton of sense. Exploring what it may look like in a structure and a model are going to be important in order not to compromise the long-term future. So it makes a lot of sense having a capital partner. Exploring what it might look like, a structure, a model. It's going to be important in order not to compromise the long-term future. So it's not a done deal, a conference-wide private capital deal, the Big 12. It's not done. But it definitely hasn't been crossed off, right? I think Brett Yormark is pro private capital. You remember he spent some of his career in the NBA. Private capital is flourishing among a lot of the franchises in the NBA, and those franchises are flourishing. I don't know if it's going to work, but Brett Yormark is pro private capital. One of our options when we're talking about Josh Pate in his teases on what is going to break later this week, one of those options was, well, maybe we're going to get news that the Big 12 has signed a $1 billion, $1.2 billion, $1.5 billion, $2 billion, whatever, major deal with private capital. That could have been the breaking news, but it's not. That wasn't our official guess here at Peek Around the Corner. Ours is the 2027 ESPN dropping that option. But it was one of the choices, one of the options. Well, we can cross that off the list. There's not going to be breaking news with Brett Yormark announcing a private capital deal by the end of the week. So that's not it. So process of elimination. Again, when we're done talking about the Big 12 media days here, we're going to open up the phone lines, and I'm going to ask you once again, what is Josh Pate, what is he referring to? What does his teases lead up to? Again, Yormark says having capital partner makes a ton of sense. But it's not going to be announced at the end of this week. So that is not the big news. Ross Dellinger. Brett Yormark asked about private equity. I do believe that given where we are as an industry, that having a capital resource as a partner makes a ton of sense. That's how you conduct good business. The Big 12 is continuing to explore private equity, private capital, he says, likely a long way from approval. So again, more evidence. More evidence that that's not going to be Josh Pate's breaking news, whatever happens by the end of the week. Brett McMurphy. Big 12's Brett Yormark. Why league is nation's deepest conference? A lot of parity. A lot of star power. We're a very deep conference. We got deeper. Last week, candidly, I think we underperformed. With parity in the Big 12, Commissioner Brett Yormark said November will be branded, marketed by the Big 12 as a race to a championship. 16 teams. Arizona State, Utah, Colorado. 4 new teams. And you had 4 new ones the year prior. Right? UCF, Houston, BYU. This is a 16-team Big 12. And everybody's predictions look different from each other. A race to a championship. Ross Dellinger. In the Big 12's next TV deal, 2030, Brett Yormark says the league is deeply exploring bifurcating football and basketball, selling each separately as packages to media networks. Bifurcating separately, splitting the two packages out. Brett Yormark, he believes this basketball, the value of basketball is going to be a lot higher in 2030 than it is in 2024, and that might guide him in certain directions. And we brought this up earlier. Brett Yormark, there's a lot going on Saturdays. The question is, are there new TV windows we can explore where we can maybe highlight our football programs a little differently? So, more Thursday games? Friday games? What are we talking about here? Wednesday games? Saturday morning games? Like early Saturday morning games? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to watch. Let me know in the chat room with your phone calls here. We're going to be opening up the phone lines here. And then finally, the Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark on the optimal number of teams in the conference. I don't know if it's really about a number. It's about the right fit. But right now, we're focused on 16. We're focused on getting this right. And we're excited about our future as a 16-team league. So, Brett Yormark, 16, there is no optimal number. Or at least it's not the number 16. Brett Yormark, Big 12, open for business. Again, Brett Yormark and his lawyers, when they had the meeting with Colorado on May 7th in Chicago, May 7th, 2023, months before the July 27 announcement, a couple months before, that Colorado was leaving the leaving the Pac-12 to go to the Big 12. When they met on May 7th in Chicago, the Big 12 Legal Counsel approved it. The Big 12 could talk with Colorado months before that. Big 12 can't do that right now. Not with any ACC schools. None of that is happening. There is no hot bubble of action when it comes to first party talks. There has been some mini hot bubble of actions when it comes to third party. Nothing has been decided. Not even close. The key is not in the ignition. When it comes to Big Ten expansion, no winks, no nods, no handshakes, no offer, no applications, no nothing. With any ACC school. And again, I'm not saying that for these silly conspiracy reasons of I'm trying to protect the Big Ten. I'm not trying to protect the Big Ten. I was their enemy number one during 2022. Enemy number one. And by the way, that was checked out by big media companies. Los Angeles Times, for one. I don't do that. I don't protect nobody except for my sources. So, nothing is happening in relation to expansion. But, before we get to our phone calls, if we are correct at peek around the corner, just a guess, based upon process of elimination, it's just a guess. There's a very high percentage chance we are wrong on our guess. This is not a report. This is a guess. But let's pretend for a moment that does happen, that there's an announcement that ESPN is dropping their option for ACC distribution after 2027. Holy smokes. That is a bomb. That is a realignment news bomb that affects Florida State and other ACC schools. That is pushing the button. That is pulling the lever. And that is finally making a decision that you have been putting off for a long time. Those are the clues that Josh Pate has laid before us. So it fits. But I have no idea if that's what he's talking about. Let's get to your phone calls. Let me know what you think about the Big 12 Media Days. If you listened to it, watched it, we went through a whole bunch of reporting of it. I'm going to go through here and see if there's more reporting. I know they've been talking to some Big 12 coaches. Mike Gundy, we'll go through some of that. Ollie Gordon is not getting suspended for that game against the Jackrabbits. Interesting. I do not agree. DUIs, you're putting people in danger. I'm glad that he did not hurt himself or anybody else, but it's at least a 1-game automatic suspension. I understand you got to treat your star players differently than the other players, but not when it comes to violating the law, basically. It doesn't mean the person should be condemned. He may never do it again. Ollie Gordon is probably a great human being. He's a great football player. Young people make mistakes. But when you are endangering other innocent people with your actions, it's at least a 1-game suspension. I think this is a very dangerous decision that Gundy made over one football game against an FCS opponent, although the best FCS team. Let me know your thoughts, especially Oklahoma State Cowboy fans. Let me know how wrong I got it once again, or if you agree with me. We're going to open up the phone lines right now. Phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. I watched and listened to Yormark not standing still to protect this conference.
Call from
BJ.
BJ, the floor is yours.
Hey, Greg, once again, thanks for having me on, and I'll keep it to 5 minutes, keep it super short.
Got it.
It's a very... Say that again?
You got it. Let it rip, sir.
A few things. So, I'm going to stick with Big 12 today, because people assume I'm a Big 12 hater, but I'm just telling you my opinion. A lot of things when it comes to Big 12 football, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, the stats show that TV viewership-wise, they're the lowest out of the Power Four, considerably, right?
Well, I think they're right with ACC.
Well, according to sports media outlet, they're like 1 million or close to 1 million per game lower than, or half a million. I'm sorry, lower, right? So 500,000, that's a considerable amount. But my thing is, I think they make really good football. not great football, not horrible football, but it's watchable. I don't know whether I'm going to wake up on a Monday morning to watch Big 12 football. I'm just being honest. Like, I don't
How
think
about
I'll
a Saturday,
do it.
Saturday morning?
Oh, Saturday. I'm not waking up any morning.
I am. I'm doing a watch party Saturday morning, Big 12 football. That's what I'll be doing.
Got you.
And you'll be
I mean, 'cause
watching. You're going to be watching me.
You know what? I'll watch you, Greg. If you demand that I watch it, to give it a try, I'll give it a shot.
Got it.
But watching Big 12 football Saturday morning is not going to fly with me. Secondly, more interesting is I thought that the Big 12 football and basketball was already separate because football is ESPN Plus, basketball is Fox. I don't know.
Well, it's not completely Big 12 football on ESPN. Big 12 football is going to be on Fox as well. And
okay.
Yeah, and when he went to the negotiating table, he sold it as a all content bundled as one. What they're talking about is he's going to separate the bundles and sell it separately.
Okay, so basically what he's done is, let's say ESPN may have the first option at a game, at a Big 12 game, and whatever they don't choose, it goes to Fox or vice versa. But I know I've seen on ESPN Plus on the streaming platform, it's a lot of Big 12 games, a lot. Mm-hmm. So I haven't seen any Big 12 basketball games on ESPN. They're all on FS1. So I was just confused about what level of separation he's talking about, but I know they play football on ESPN because I've seen it, last year. I saw the Baylor UFC comeback on ESPN Plus. But lastly, the interesting part about the Big 12 ACC, because it looks like the Big 12 is always trumping at the ACC. I don't really see a lot of ACC teams or fans trumping at the Big 12. But I will say this, the interesting part about that is both of those conferences have football contracts with ESPN. And if you look at what Yormark said, he's very bullish on maybe grabbing teams. And if you look at what Jim Phillips said, he was like, we're talking to ESPN every day about, renewing this deal. So it's kind of interesting to see if they both are talking to the same person. I don't see how ESPN can kind of wiggle their way out of this without playing favorites. And that can be kind of looked at unfavorably legally wise. It may give, the ACC teams, if they choose not to re-up, it may give them legal precedence to go after ESPN. Because according to their commissioner, they can't break the deal. So, but I'll get off your line.
You got it.
But I want you to chew on that last piece for me and probably give me your insight on it, because to me that's a very, very thin line to be straddling for ESPN.
Got it. Appreciate it.
I learned.
Thank you, sir. I mean, if it's in the media contract that ESPN can drop the option after 2027, it doesn't really have anything to do with Big 12. ESPN is a media partner, is the media company for the ACC, and it's a media partner for the Big 12. And they two different contracts, two different media contracts. They're paying out differently. And if there's an option in the ACC, and if they drop it, then I don't know why the ACC schools can sue, because it's in the contract. So I don't know about that. But thanks for the call, BJ. CFB Plus. What other possibilities could the news be, assuming your guess is wrong, but Pate is right and something happening that is in line with everything we know? I don't know, man. I don't know. And that's what I need you guys to tell me. The chances of my guess being wrong are extremely high. So I need more possibilities, but I can't come up with any that fits all the teases that Josh Pate put out. There's got to be something else. That's why I need you guys to tell me what it is. Because honestly, I have got no information on it, man. I don't. Other than my guess, and I've stolen that guess from many other people. Lee, who put it in the Big 12 chat room. That was Moen's guess a couple weeks ago. But with these added teases, more teases by Josh Pate, that's like the only one that kind of fits all the clues. But again, it's just the guess. So if you've got another possibility, if anybody has another possibility, let me know. Call me up here, 763-260-1333. And of course, there is the possibility that who's ever guiding Josh Pate along here, he's getting the information. You can tell he's received more information. Maybe that information does not come to fruition. Maybe it was wrong, or maybe it gets moved. Something gets delayed. But the last tease that Josh Pate put out when he said, starting by the end of the week, that means that something is in the hopper. Something is in the hopper.
Call from
Rick.
Rick is on the line. The floor is yours. What do you got to say, sir?
Hi, Greg. How things going?
It's going good. How are you doing?
Not bad, not bad.
Yeah.
The only other, I tend to agree with you on your guess, but the only other possibility I could think of might be, and I'm thinking of Josh Pate's, the thing he sent there with the water glass shaking and the T-Rex.
Yep.
Might that T-Rex be Notre Dame?
Well,
and might the attorneys be Notre Dame attorneys? And wouldn't that shake up college football pretty big?
You're either onto something or you're on something, and I think you're onto something, Rick. That is the T-Rex. Now, I've been told this in the third week of May. The chatter changed. Everything is on hold. Nobody is thinking nothing. No one's done nothing. And that the Big Ten would wait on Notre Dame. Now let's take a look at all the clues. Does that fit? Number one, he said it's big realignment news and it would be a bomb. That fits. Notre Dame, that fits, right? He said that it would affect Florida State and other ACC schools. And Florida State is the face of it, but it would affect other ACC schools. Obviously, Notre Dame getting out of their, and it's going to be a lot easier for them to get out of the ACC agreement, right? Wait.
Check.
So that fits. The part where he said in his last tease, Josh Pate, what he said, people have been putting off making this decision. Now they're about to pull the levers and push the button. He kind of said people in college athletics and college football. That one, I don't know if it fits. But I would have to say you got to put it right up there with our wild guess of ESPN deciding not to do the option, or maybe they're connected, you know. I don't know, but that is a great option. You might be onto something, Rick. What do you think? Continue on, sir.
I really can't go much further, but I sure would like to hear from some other callers.
Yeah. That would fit a lot of the teases of Josh Pate.
Okay, well, you heard it first from Rick.
Beautiful. Call again, Rick.
Thanks, bye.
Thank you, sir. And what that option fits what I was told in third week of May in regards to the Big Ten is like, they're not even. They have, not only there's not a wink and a nod and a handshake and an offer and an application with anybody else, no first party talk, but they're not even lining up the candidates and even thinking about it. So that Notre Dame piece, if the Big Ten got word that Notre Dame was thinking about finally pulling that lever, finally pushing that button, that fits. We got to put it up there with the ESPN one. Great call, Rick.
Call from
Immaculate.
Holy smokes, Mr. Hot Guy. The floor is yours.
Well, how are we doing, Greg? Wasn't quite the day we were maybe hoping for, but
well, I wasn't expecting anything today because
you weren't expecting to.
No, because Josh Pate said by the end of he almost made it sound like towards the end of the week if you listen to his last clues. So I was not expecting anything today, and this is a 2-day media day. So whatever this is, they might want the.
It's only 2 days?
Yeah, it's July 9th, July 10th. So I would expect whatever this is drops the 11th, 12th, or 13th. That's my guess. Again, I'm probably wrong.
No, you're right. And then if that's the case, it's before both the SEC and ACC days.
Well, Josh Pate said I'm not going to, again, I'm paraphrasing it. I'm not going to get his exact words here. But he said the dam starts to break. It starts by the end of the week. And then there's going to be then people are going to get real busy. So I was not expecting it today. I'm not expecting it tomorrow. I was thinking it's like a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday story. If it
maybe
happens.
Like a Friday media dump.
What was that, sir?
I said maybe like a Friday media dump. How you say
Friday
like
media
that.
dump is usually bad news, and who's ever doing this probably thinks it's good news.
That's some pretty bad news for some folks.
Yeah. I don't know. But what do you think about Rick's call on Notre Dame? Could that be what is going on?
That's actually why I called. I was just kind of sitting and listening to folks today. But the whole Notre Dame thing, I used to think that they were going to end up in the Big Ten, and they still might. But I think their latest deal really kind of says that they're not ready to do that yet, and that's not their first choice.
Yeah.
Now, what someone can think is their first choice, that there's still some room to maneuver in that. I know I have my thoughts on it. You probably have yours. But what I have, we all have conversations. You have better conversations than I do. But I have had a few conversations with folks. And from what I've kind of picked up on the side is that Notre Dame and Stanford are very close right now. There's certain individuals that have been at the top that, either graduated from one of them, that work at the other, vice versa. that there's just a lot of interconnection between those two schools and that they're working together. Now, first thought, they're going to try to turn the ACC into what they want. But these are smart individuals. You wouldn't put all your eggs in the one basket that might burn up. You're going to have backup plans. And my guess is if the Big Ten is truly still waiting on them, then them and Stanford have probably at least reached out to some degree, somehow, some way. Because Notre Dame can talk to them anytime they want. They're in the Big Ten. Like, Notre Dame can call them up at any time and talk about joining.
They talk all the time, yes. Yeah.
And that's what people kind of get this a little mixed up. They think, oh, well, no, you can't talk between. They're part of the Big Ten. They can talk to them about whatever they want. I don't care what deal they have with the ACC about possibly having to join the ACC first. They can talk to the Big Ten about anything. And so through them, any school that is kind of working with Notre Dame can also talk to the Big Ten about anything, which my own personal thought, which I haven't even talked to you about, is partly what you're talking about when you talk about Florida State needing to have friendships, needing to work around, because there's certain ways that people move behind the scenes on how things get done. Back in the day, it was through West Virginia because they were in between conferences and they could talk to anybody and there would be no legal repercussions. So everything went through there. My guess is that's Notre Dame right now. Anything having to do with the Big Ten, ACC, whatever. So it could be absolutely be them. I just think that their other plan, whatever that might be, because I don't think the Big Ten is their number one plan, that door has to be shut, or at least closed enough to where they say it's no longer worth the risk. But if the Big Ten is willing to sit and wait forever and just be like, no, we're good, we'll just wait, well then yeah, that could be a problem for others. And that's an easy leverage point for the likes of Notre Dame and for the likes of Stanford, which I know you said they got turned down, and that might be exactly from what I thought on the side is they did not want to be a full member of the Big Ten, because that means they'd have to leave the IPLC and join the PTAA. They just wanted to be a football member. And, the Big Ten rightfully said, kick rocks. Like, your football's not worth it. If you were to come here, we want you for academic reasons as much or very much more so than anything athletic. So if that's the pair, if that's the combo, then that also means that Stanford would leave the IPLC and join the BTA, which means Johns Hopkins might then decide to leave the IPLC and join the BTA. They're in the Big Ten. It's a big, complicated situation, and most of it is underwater, like the iceberg. It's very little of that's visible. But if you kind of understand the way the Big Ten works in that regard, it's a very big deal. So if Stanford and Notre Dame are tied together, that's going to hold up everything for the Big Ten, in my opinion. What do you think about that?
It all sounds logical to me, sir. It all sounds logical to me. In fact, in the Los Angeles Times article, when I got interviewed 4 different times for it, and then when they put a long article on it, basically the question was asked, what happens next? And we thought it was Notre Dame and Stanford if Notre Dame said yes. They didn't at the time. But then Washington and Oregon was the next combo. So, yeah, there is... Notre Dame has deep-rooted relationships with certain schools.
Mm-hmm.
And that could be the decider on what the Big Ten ends up doing or not doing. So,
yeah, I when you said that, I'm like, I get it. I mean, that's an age-old position of the Big Ten. We're waiting on Notre Dame. Well, yep. That's been the case for years.
Yeah.
And if they're still saying that now, then my guess is Notre Dame is saying, hey, look, we still might come. Please don't fill that spot. Because the Big Ten's not in any hurry, like you said. I mean, if Notre Dame is saying, oh, and by the way, we might have Stanford actually willing to join as a full member, join the BTAA, they might want to bring Duke, who also then helps to get Johns Hopkins to sign on. And lo and behold, here you go. Now you have this whole block of private universities that are worried about private university stuff, all trying to maybe help each other get into the Big Ten and at least have themselves a little voting block. Because when you look at someone like Northwestern building a stadium like that in Chicago, these stadiums generally mean something more than just, oh, we want to have more money. No, it means a lot more than that. And if anyone knows anything about Notre Dame, you know that they say that their town is Chicago. Like, yeah, they're in other towns, but they say Chicago is Notre Dame territory.
And it
so,
is.
it is.
Yeah, it is.
And that stadium is, in my opinion, is Notre Dame based. That stadium right there is Notre Dame based. That they would want to have maybe even a yearly game in the future against Northwestern in that state, in that city. Because if you know Ryan Field before, and nobody wanted to go there.
No.
Especially not Notre Dame. But the biggest, baddest, most expensive 35,000 capacity stadium in Chicago, there's going to be a lot of people that come to those games if Notre Dame.
It's going to be a beautiful stadium. So, yeah.
Yeah. So that's my thought on it. Is like, I think that the caller might be right. I don't quite think we're at a point yet where Notre Dame is ready to make that move. I still think that ties into the NLRB decisions and the settlement stuff. But, maybe that's ESPN is going to make this thing in order to try to move things along, because the settlement situation seems to have slowed down. Yeah. So that's probably worrisome. So anyways, I'm going to get off of here, but yeah, that's what I was thinking about Notre Dame.
Got it. Appreciate it. Great call, Hawkeye. Beautiful. CFB Plus, peek around the corner. Could it be the ACC going full-blown unequal revenue sharing in a last-ditch effort to keep Florida State Clemson in the ACC? I don't think so, because Josh Pate in the first, now it's been 3 teases, right? 3 different segment of teases. The very first tease in his tease was there may be a bomb going off in the month of July, and it's realignment news. Unequal revenue sharing to keep Florida State Clemson and ACC is not realignment news. So I don't think it's that. It's a good, I don't think it's that. But again, guys, I don't know. We're just playing process of elimination. I think we can eliminate that one, CFB Plus, but I could be wrong. King Spleen, Greg, have you considered inviting Josh Pate to the show and have him expound on the topic as much as he can? Couple things. Josh Pate does know who I am. He's been following me a couple years. He has mentioned a couple things on X, formerly known as Twitter, to me. I'm not talking DMs. I'm talking out in public. But I have not had a conversation with them, and I don't do interviews with people in the industry. There's a couple reasons why. One is I've had the opportunity to do so. But number one, I don't think I have the skill set to interview people. That's number one. Number two is I don't want attachments. This is the College Football Rebel Outpost. Just me communicating to people. I know this is going to sound strange to a lot of you, but I don't want there to be attachments. Is the only way I can say it. We are the College Football Rebel Outpost. This is, we are on an island. So I got to keep it that way. Now, I do talk to people in the industry, obviously. But I just don't think it's what, I know it's not what I want to do. And I like having a national show where people call in. This is a show for you guys, not for people in the industry to show up. So that's my answer on that.
Call from
Blue Ridge Coffee Crafter.
All right, the floor is yours. How you doing, Curtis? What's going on?
Doing well, thanks. Hope
Good.
you guys are doing, you and your wife and, of course, your mom are doing well.
We're doing good. Thanks for asking. Appreciate it.
Well, I keep praying for you guys because
Yeah,
I just keep praying for you.
thank you. I do
Hey,
appreciate it.
when he mentioned about the other caller just called about the relationships, ND having relationships, that's huge because they do have a lot of relationships with a lot of universities. And one is way down south on the south end of Florida in the Miami area.
Yeah. True.
So if there's talks going on, I would be willing to bet there's talks going on with Miami, Stanford, Notre Dame, and the Big Ten through Miami.
Through Notre Dame, you mean?
I mean, through Notre Dame. I had a brain fart there.
No problem.
Just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah, possibly. Notre Dame has the legal ability to do that. That is what we call in the business second party talks. Now, look, I reported this right on June 30th, 2022, but USC was Bone at the time, the athletic director. They were having deep conversations with Notre Dame to join the Big Ten. June 30th, July 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th of 2022. So, but it didn't happen. You make a good point, Curtis. That could be what's going on. No question.
I mean, I don't have a clue, just like anybody, but but these schools know they're trying to get themselves into a position where they're going to be good financially to be able to compete, and there's no way the ACC is going to be able to meet the Big Ten in 2036 at $150 million a year or more, or the SEC.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
Beautiful.
we'll see what happens.
Yep, great call, Curtis. Appreciate it, sir. Call again.
Take care, man.
All right. Almighty Finn, I think Greg knows what's up. He just can't say. No, I don't. I don't know what's up. I don't know what Josh Pate is referring to. I don't know if it's Notre Dame. I don't know if it's ESPN drop-in. I can...
Call from
Steve.
Steve, can you hold on 1 second, please?
Sure.
I do appreciate it, Steve. I don't know. I don't know what's up. I don't know if it's ACC dropping the option. I don't know if it's Notre Dame ready to hit. Both of those options fit a lot of those clues, if not all of them. But I honestly don't know. All I know is on May 23rd, I was told, Greg, rip those odds down, cease and desist, shut the sports book down, at least that part of the board. There is nothing going on, nothing. And we always knew there was no first party talks. But there is no, Big Ten has no inclinations to do anything. The only two tent poles for the Big Ten is North Carolina and Notre Dame, and they can't talk to North Carolina. Everything else is just there, but they're not dealing with it. And I also believe the SEC is in the same boat. So again, that Notre Dame option, I think it's a live one. I think there's some possibilities there. It's probably wrong. Bearcat Steve, I'm interested to hear what you got to say, my friend. Let it rip.
Well, I'm pretty much going to echo what Immaculate and the caller before him said. I've got a group of guys that I talk to. One of them's pretty well connected, and he's told me for a few months, and I'm paraphrasing here, but basically Notre Dame and Stanford are attached at the hip. And if Notre Dame decides to pull the trigger, that Stanford is right there with him, and the Big Ten will probably say, when the time comes, come on in. Is that? Give me your opinion on that.
Well, again, I think there's a lot of truth there. I'm hold on a second. I'm going through this. Oh, I can't even look at my own article. Okay, forget it. I'll shut. There's a lot of truth there. There is a lot of truth there. Again, that was a big part of the Los Angeles Times story 2 years ago. We know that they're tied to the hip. I don't know about tied to the hip, but there was always, okay, so Notre Dame always wanted to make sure that they played in the state of California once a year. They alternated most of the time between USC and Stanford. There is a lot of Notre Dame There's a lot of Notre Dame Fighting Irish fans throughout the country. A lot of them are deposited in California. Okay? It's just the way it is. A lot of Catholics, a lot of whatever you want to call it. There's a Notre Dame interest in Chicago, Los Angeles, and then Stanford. There's been of course, as you know, Steve, Stanford is an elite university. Notre Dame wanted to be associated with it. So you're spilling truth here.
Well, it's not I mean, it's just what I've been told, Greg. It's not that I'm smart enough sometimes to form this big opinion, but it's what I've been told by somebody that I trust. But anyhow, the other thing with that Immaculate brought up that I was kind of intrigued by is Notre Dame going and playing new Ryan Field. But then it popped into my head, well, maybe Notre Dame wouldn't go to Ryan Field to play because they're building that new dome in Chicago for the Bears. So maybe Northwestern and Notre Dame would like to sell an extra 25,000 seats, as opposed to Ryan Field. But both places, both places would be more than adequate, I would think, for something like that to happen.
Wow. Steve, you might be onto something or you're on something. But I think you're onto something, my friend. That could be.
Yeah, that would be a great. And I wouldn't think they'd have any problem selling it out.
No.
Be a great place for those two teams to meet up, and not that New Ryan Field wouldn't be. I mean, that's got to be. That's from everything I've seen. That's got to be a pretty cool place when it's done.
Yeah.
I mean, it just has to be. And their state-of-the-art practice facility right on Lake Michigan is second to none. It really, really is.
Yeah.
Greg, one other question I have for you, and it's not coming from much information that I've heard or talked about. Is it? I don't know how to put this. When everything settles down, and I shouldn't say settles down, when everything gets clearer, when the picture clears up, I've heard that, of course, we know that the SEC's got their eyes on Virginia. They got their eyes on North Carolina, number one, probably. Would they be inclined, with all the football brands they currently have, to bring in, quote, more basketball brands than football in this media contract right now at not full share, because they're so strong with all their football brands right now in the SEC? I mean, is that far-fetched, or is that,
I think that the SEC is interested in Virginia, North Carolina for various reasons, especially North Carolina, and we talked about it. The students that they have in that growing state, it's a virgin country when it comes to Big Ten and the SEC. They have a big basketball brand that would help. That's going to help Sankey. Bringing in other programs at a discount. I don't think the SEC would be bringing in North Carolina if that's what happens. It's more to do, of course, than just their great basketball brand. They bring other stuff to it. I don't think while basketball is going to shoot up in value, and the SEC, Greg Sankey is a complete believer in that with Brett Yormark, I just don't think they're going to go after basketball brands unless they bring a whole lot of other stuff to it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and they would bring, from FCC standards, and not to say things can't change, but they would bring mid-tier football to the SEC. Yeah. North Carolina would,
Yeah.
And the other thing that intrigues me is Kansas and the SEC, because football and the old Kansas and Missouri thing from the Big 8 or the Big 12, whatever it was, that Kansas thing to the SEC kind of intrigues me also. Not that I don't know that it would ever happen.
Yeah.
But, there's so many moving parts. And it's amazing how many different scenarios there can be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, anyhow, I'll let you go.
Appreciate it.
Just wanted to chime in. And if Northwestern and Notre Dame play in the new Bears Stadium, we can meet halfway, and I'll buy the ticket.
You got it.
All right, buddy.
You got it.
See ya.
And I'm going to need some deep dish pizza, only cheese and tomato sauce. Thank you, sir.
No, we're putting pepperoni, sausage, and bacon on it. Half of it.
No.
On half of it. I'm taking the other half.
Yeah.
All right, see ya.
Thank you.
Call from
Wisconsin Dairy Association cheese conference.
I almost hung up on Ryan Thomas. Go ahead, sir. The floor is yours.
Hi, Greg. Yeah, I just want to kind of go to the chat here. I'm going to stick away from realignment kind of today because I'm in the boat that, like I said in my super chat,
yeah.
I just think that the House settlement needs to be finalized first because there's just so many pieces in that will determine the chessboard and will influence the decisions of a lot of the schools that are involved in this overall realignment process as it is. And, you know, it's going to have a huge impact on what Notre Dame and Stanford and others plan to do. So, I mean, I think, you know, there could be separate things that are going on with FSU and Clemson, no doubt about that. But as far as, like, the total shakeup of how the ACC either reforms or collapses or backfills or whatever happens with it, really is going to depend on that. The larger point I want to make is the Brett Yormark haters in the chat. What's the guy supposed to do? His job is to promote his teams, his schools. His job is to go out there and increase the brand awareness of his conference and do everything that he can to bring in sponsorships and money and find ways to allow his universities, his member universities, to compete financially the best they can with the Big Ten and the SEC. If any of you had a school in a conference that wasn't the Big Ten or SEC, or if the Big Ten and the SEC's positions were reversed, you would all want the exact same thing. I don't get it.
I don't either. I don't either.
And the other thing is look what a inept, flat, passive commissioner like Jim Phillips did. He ruined it for everybody. With his attitude about the college playoff, football playoff expansion, basically hurt everybody on the final, and everybody but the Big Ten and SEC on the final money distribution scheme. So, I mean, really, I would rather have a commissioner that's doing everything he can to try to close that gap, or at least has a plan to try to keep me relevant as a conference and as a school. And, you know, some of you, some of the SEC and Big Ten homers in the chat, you know, I find it funny because a lot of you are fans of schools that are not named Ohio State or Michigan, and you know how easily, you know, the shoe could be on the other foot years from now if things really go pear-shaped in how this operates. So a little humility, folks, and I think that it's comical. I mean, I'd rather have a used car salesman, as some of you want to call Brett Yormark, than a shady backstabbing sleazeball like Greg Sankey as my commissioner. So, I mean, I'll take that any day of the week. I'd rather deal with, a New Yorker than someone who's going to stick me in the back with a shiv. So, I mean, I'll go with that. But, people need to chill. I think the Big 12, I think it's, a lot of good things. The conference is moving forward. There's good things happening. And, I think I'm excited for it. And, anyone who's not in those shoes should beg to have a commissioner that's trying to do active, creative things like that to keep your school relevant and keep your conference relevant. Anyway, thanks a lot, Greg. Great show. Beware of the evil space badgers and their UFOs. They're up to shady things, Greg. They're up to shady things, and it's all part of the Wisconsin Dairy Association conspiracy to fund them, Greg. And I agree with your war against cheese. Thanks. Bye.
You got it. Appreciate it. Yeah, you can tell we're getting closer and closer to football season. The elbows are start to being thrown.
Call from
Edward, the Auburn Tiger.
Auburn Tiger is in the house. The floor is yours. I'm guessing you're calling me to yell at me for where I had Auburn in my rankings.
Oh, no, sir. Like I said, I expect that's probably where you were going to put us. But
yeah,
like I said, Auburn does better when they're really not expected to do well. I mean, we got some young crop coming up, and obviously the SEC is going to be tough. But hey, Greg, I thought you did a great job yesterday, man. I thought you did a great job. I don't really have a problem with anything that you said.
Appreciate it, sir.
And
well, you know I'm going to be wrong, so that's good news for Auburn, right? So, you know.
Hey, listen, we're believing for Greg the Heater this year. How about that?
Yes. So what do you got to say, sir?
Yes, sir. I really have a couple of questions for you. I just want to kind of find out how far your tentacles of knowledge and people you know go. When Oklahoma and Texas, when it dropped, obviously that they were joining the SEC, were you in your network, were you aware of that, Eddie?
Hold on one second. I'm going to try to hold on. Give me a moment here, guys. Give me a moment.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to try to answer your question here, okay? Give me a moment. Well, give me another moment. I screwed up.
You're fine, sir.
Come on, Greg. What are you doing? Hold on one second. I'm trying to find you something here just to show you what we...
Yeah, that's no problem, sir.
I should have already been able to find this. What happened to it? Maybe I didn't search. Okay, come on. One time. Unbelievable. Where is it? Well, man, at some point I'm going to show everybody something, but I can't find my post of it, so I'm going to give up. Yeah, for years we said, and I'll put up a bunch of posts on it.
Yes, sir.
But, and I'll save it and I'll show it on the live show. For years I said on my at Flug Empire, and you can do a search of it if you want, Flug Empire, and put in keywords, that Oklahoma and Texas were not going to sign the extended gore for the Big 12, and that they were going to keep their exit ramps open. And then we put out a post saying that Texas and Oklahoma have their eyes when the ESPN signed that massive new Tier 1 contract with ESPN taking over for CBS. I put out a bunch of tweets saying all eyes on Oklahoma and Texas with the SEC. But for the most part, we were under the belief, we always had the SEC ranked first, the Big Ten ranked second when it came to Texas and Oklahoma. But we thought that the Big Ten was going to have an opportunity to at least get in the ball game to try to get Texas and Oklahoma. But they really weren't afforded that opportunity in reality. But anyway, so we kind of knew, but we didn't have the story. No way. Houston Chronicle had the story. We didn't. But we also knew because of the money perch in Oklahoma, we talked a lot about it in 2017, 18, 19. Oklahoma was keeping their exit ramps open in the Big 12. But go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. The reason why I asked, I just wanted to see how far your circle went. Because, I'm a believer in the invisible hand here.
Yeah.
And so the belief, just hearing you guys show and other shows that you've been on here the last couple of times here, is that I'm not going to say you're leaning towards ESPN maybe dropping the extension with ACC.
I'm not leaning. I'm just guessing what Josh Pate is referring to. I have no idea. I have no idea if that's true or not. I'm not leaning that way. It's just a wild guess based upon process of elimination. I've got no smoke, no individual information on that whatsoever.
Okay. One of the things that's kind of, I guess, sticking out to me that he said, I think it was maybe in the second one or the first one that he gave out, was about they wanted it marketed. In other words, they wanted whatever was going to break to reach a lot of eyeballs, to reach a lot of people.
Yes.
And so I guess if ESPN is doing this, and obviously it sounds like there's some kind of coordination by the tone and the words of Josh Pate, what would be the motivation of doing that? Why would they do it? What's the strategy behind it? Is it the free teams up that will kind of legally exonerate them for being that invisible hand? So when these teams are free, and now it seems like they have an individual choice to kind of have some control where they're going, could there still be a plan already in place that everybody kind of knows their cue, what they're going to do? I mean, what?
I can tell you there is no Big Ten plan, and I don't think there's an SEC plan at this point. I really am. I keep pounding the table on it, but my info is about as good as it can get, so I'm going to keep saying it until we find out either way, but I feel real good about it. Number two, what is ESPN's motivation to do this if that's what's happening, and we don't know if it is? It's just a guess.
Yes, sir.
I think their main motivation would be not to have the trade secrets out, just to get out in front of this. But I got to be honest. I don't find a whole lot of motivations that I can find for ESPN to do this. But if it is, believe in that the ACC, some of those most valued schools might go to the SEC, probably will go to the SEC, and try to get out in front of this, where the grant of rights doesn't get destroyed. They don't want something to pop in Discovery. Those are possible motivations.
Yes, sir.
But, again, we don't know if this is going to happen. It probably is something completely different. I just don't know what it is.
Now, Greg, in my short experience here with Realignment, you have been my voice in terms. I've been watching your show, and that's how I've been realizing what's been going on. So I'm going to ask another question here. And so you have a lot of contacts. You have a lot of you have a circle that's really in the know in a lot of ways. I find it fascinating that given everything you know, and there's always an opportunity of something you don't know, but I find it fascinating how you are giving attention to what Josh Pate has said. Is there any part of you that thinks, maybe he could not be right at all?
Yeah, there is a chance that the information he's been given is incorrect. But I got to tell you, because I do the same thing. So he put out a tease. It's a T-Rex. It's something big, right? He says it's Realignment news. It's possibly a bomb going off in July. It's going to affect Florida State and other ACC schools. Florida State is the face of it, but there's other schools involved. And then he comes out with another one. And then he comes out with another one, and he's saying it looks like, basically, I'm paraphrasing, by the end of the week, the first brick, things are going to start happening. And then everyone's going to get busy. Because he's done this 3 different times in Auburn Tiger Guy, because the third tease has him shrinking the days, right? No longer is it maybe sometime in July. It's possibly something happening by the end of this week. Because the days have shrunk, I've done the same thing. Because you get more, you start to go, oh, yeah, this is happening. So the way he's telling his teases rings true to me.
Yes.
But I have absolutely no idea what it is. Go ahead, sir.
But see, that's the thing that puzzles me. Because, like I said, I believe in Greg Flugar.
I appreciate
you have been accurate. And you took the L. You've been as honest and candid. And, your the people have not failed you on any course.
Yeah.
Even Josh Pate has said some things kind of out there, not quite accurate as you. And hearing you and hearing him, it almost seemed like what you're saying and what he's saying are kind of contradicting each other. In other words, the things you're saying is kind of minimizing this explosion that he's talking about. So either A, your group has no idea what he's talking about, and there's a channel, there's a circle, there's things being discussed that your circle has no privy to, or he has a circle that he's privy to, and he's hearing everything that needs to be said, and the people in your circle has no idea what's being said. That's kind of what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Let me answer it this way. There is a chance that him and I, in regards to the information we've gathered, is knocking heads. Because if he's alluding to this big Realignment news bomb dropping and that there's already construction of where schools are going and it's all settled and this is, our heads are definitely knocking, because we're not even close to that in in the information I have. Number one.
Yeah.
So you're correct. We could be conflicting. But I don't think we are. So that's how I'm looking at it. I could be wrong. But I think he's alluding to a realignment bomb that goes way short of what I say can happen, but it's still a bomb, which means the ACC drops or there's something about Notre Dame, because those don't conflict with what I'm saying. So I still think there's a bomb, could be a bomb without knocking heads with what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But I don't see, Notre Dame going to the Big Ten, let's say that was a real thing. I honestly believe that people in your circle who you confide in and they talk to you, it would come across your radar.
No, I don't. Not necessarily.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I'm going to be careful here. I do know, and I said this on a little video on X, on Twitter a couple weeks ago. I rarely put out any videos, but I know that there are doors locked to me.
Mm-hmm.
People are sitting on stories that there are embargoed.
Mm-hmm.
That is my strong perception. There is a few doors open, and I have put out some of the information on regards to the Big Ten does not have their key in the ignition when it comes to ACC schools. Notre Dame is a different kettle of fish, but and we believe the SEC is laying in wait, just seeing if North Carolina comes open. So that I'm very strong on. But I also know there are doors shut. So the Notre Dame door, if that's what the big bomb is, that thing is shut on me. The only Notre Dame information we received was at the time of UCLA joined June 30th, and there was a hot stuff going on, USC, Notre Dame, and I thought that Notre Dame, this was the greatest leverage they were ever going to have. They were going to be able to receive whatever they wanted in the deal with the Big Ten. They were put into the new contract that would lift everybody's boats in the Big Ten even more. And we thought that the Notre Dame Stanford thing was going to happen. And it didn't. We took the L on that, I don't know, July of 2022. We took it pretty early because we were told, Notre Dame is standing down. They're not going to do it. Not at this time. So we were privy to some Notre Dame information, real good stuff there, but not lately. But we know that there are doors shut to us. That could be a big, giant door shut to us. But I'll keep poking and prodding. But if someone has that, if Josh Pate is the only one leaking it, these reporters, Auburn Tiger, a lot of times they don't go out with anything until they absolutely know at the time it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And remember, Josh Pate, one of his teases was he believes they have this story in the oven. Remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
So the Notre Dame story is a big story if it's truly in the oven, or the ESPN story if it's truly in the oven. I honestly, and I'm not saying this, the Shield sort, I do not have those stories. If either one of those pop, it's going to be massive news, and I don't have either one.
Yeah. No, Greg, we know that Josh Pate is connected to CBS, kind of, I guess, indirectly, somewhat.
Yeah.
We know he has tremendous relationships amongst those SEC, ACC, and he's been on the schools. Now he's talking about lawyer types that doesn't really even care about football or probably wouldn't even know the mascot. So I'm trying to put this in the box here. So, how would he know about ESPN from that circle? I mean, because just lawyers that don't really know who the mascot is. How would he know about Notre Dame? I mean, that's a far reach, isn't it, Greg? I mean, he said lawyers that does not really even know about really college football, don't really care about it. They just part of the legal matters of what he is involved with there.
Well, there would be legal matters with Notre Dame leaving the ACC. Okay. And it would be, and it's a lot, even though it's complicated, it's going to be a lot less complicated than what the ACC schools have to deal with. So because Notre Dame's only grant of rights is only connected to the ACC network, even though, but Notre Dame's exit fee is the same of all the other ACC schools, $140 million. But the grant of rights is completely different, way less complicated, way less. Notre Dame could write the check and get all that resolved in a heartbeat. Not a heartbeat, but you're going to need legal people. So I think, I don't know. I think we have to put that option up as well as with the ESPN drop-in ACC 2027. But you know what? Auburn Tiger guy, we're probably wrong on both guesses, right? So it's just...
Listen, I believe in Greg Pflugar. I mean, you know what you know.
Yeah.
And you saying what you don't know.
Yeah.
And just going by what you're saying, I don't know, because I mean, outside of Notre Dame and outside of ESPN, which to me, I don't see how he would have access to that. Just regular lawyers. I don't know how there can be a bombshell involving realignment. I mean, because you said 100% Big Ten is not doing anything.
Yeah.
99% sure SEC is not doing anything. I don't see it. I don't see it. If you don't see it, I sure don't see it.
Yeah. All right,
Greg,
sir.
thank you for the callers.
Appreciate it, Mr. Auburn Tiger guy. Call again, man.
Yes, sir. All right, bye-bye.
You got it. Now, Lee, I gave you credit for your comment on the Big 12 Mafia show. That leads me thinking that's the number one option, the ESPN. Hold on a second.
Call from
Tristan Fibes.
Tristan, can you hold on 1 second, sir?
Yes.
I do appreciate it. I'm interested to hear what you got to say on this. So, Lee, I did give you credit early in the show. Now, you say Josh Pate said in one of his teasers, he said that no schools would know where they are going yet. I don't recall him saying that. I don't recall him saying that. So if Lee, if you or somebody else can send me like a link to one of the videos, if somebody can send that to me, I'd be interested. I do, as I have reported, since May 23rd. Well, before that. I'm just telling you, the SEC and the Big Ten have not engaged at all. The SEC has their preference of North Carolina, and they're going to wait to see what happens there. And the Big Ten's just going to wait. Their preference, of course, is North Carolina and Notre Dame, but neither conference is active at all. And I know everyone is saying the opposite, so if Josh Pate said that, then there is somebody who kind of agrees with me. And I'm not maybe alone on an island. Maybe he has the same information I have, but maybe he's got it more advanced, and maybe it has something to do with the ESPN contract or Notre Dame. He probably does have more information than I have. Tristan, the floor is yours.
Hey, thanks, Greg. I wanted to add a couple of thoughts on this Notre Dame idea. So, Jack Swarbrick, at some point in time after the Oklahoma-Texas announcement that they were leaving, he was commenting on realignment and specifically about Notre Dame, and he said, and maybe you can remember this and help me, he said that Notre Dame would not join a conference unless, and then he had three conditions. One was a revenue gap.
Yeah.
If a revenue gap formed, then that could force them to join a conference. The second condition was access to the playoff.
Yeah.
To the college football playoff.
Yeah.
And then I think the third one, and this might be where I'm wrong, that I think the third one might have been scheduling.
No. And so this is a great call, Tristan. The third one. The third one has to do with providing, I don't know how to say it, providing quality, providing access, providing a good environment for their non-revenue Olympic sports. That was the third one.
Oh, okay.
And that third one hasn't been rectified to Notre Dame's satisfaction. That I do know. The first two have. The third one hasn't. And there might not be a solution for that. So therefore, Notre Dame is not all that sad. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to be, they're not all satisfied with that third one.
Okay.
That
yeah,
is,
they have their sports split out into different conferences, I think.
Well, basically, not real. I mean, they got their men's hockey in the Big Ten and everything else in the ACC. But there is, how do I say this? There is some issues in regards to that. It's an issue. Is it enough for Notre Dame to finally push the lever and push the button like Josh Pate may be referring to, and they say we're out of here? I don't know. I don't have any steam on that. But the steam I do have, I can say this without causing any problems, is that third one has not been satisfied. But is it enough for Notre Dame to finally make the move? I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, so I was going to offer this up as just a piece of evidence to suggest that Notre Dame will not be the first domino. And I could be wrong. It's just kind of an opinion. I always felt like when it comes time for, and I still, of course, do believe that if they join, it's going to be the Big Ten. So I always felt like they would be like one of the very last schools to join a conference, just because, the independence aspect of their identity is a big thing, and their fans really don't want to join a conference, but I think they need to have a series of events that make it obvious to the fan base that, hey, there really is a need for us to go ahead and bite the bullet on this. And I always felt like they would be one of the very last ones to join. Mm-hmm. And I could be wrong, but when Swarbrick was laying out those arguments, I think he was starting to articulate the reasons to the fan base why they might need to join a conference. That's how I viewed him making that statement. And I haven't seen any definitive, they have playoff access and their revenue seems to be okay right now. So I still don't see any argument for them making that leap at this point.
Yeah. The third one is an issue, but I don't know if it's big enough for them to. Now, and again, this was reported out in public. When they were negotiating the college football playoff format, when they were all negotiating the distribution model, and when the Big Ten, the SEC were flexing their muscles, they put all the chips on the table, and they were kind of sort of threatening that they would break away, right? And I didn't think it was going to happen in 2026, but they made the threats to get their way. It was publicly reported when the SEC and the Big Ten had these meetings about threatening, about pushing, about a possible breakaway, although I don't think it was all that serious this time around. Notre Dame was in that meeting with those two. So to me, that means that Notre Dame has at least had discussions. Like, because if there's a breakaway, if it ever happens 6 years from now, Notre Dame ain't going to be an independent program in that break. They're going to be like everybody else. They're either going to be in one big super league or two they're not going to be in their own world on a breakaway. Yeah. That ain't happening. So they've at least had some sort of future discussions about not being an independent program with the SEC and the Big Ten because they were in those meetings with them. So I thought that was a big news item that didn't get a whole lot of attention.
But, and I do remember that being discussed. That was, I think, a bigger deal than people realized. Yeah, but I think with Notre Dame, though, Greg, timing is everything. And like I said, it seems like with the argument they're making to their fan base, it's not an argument. They're just laying out information. At least Swarbrick was.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like the time is right now.
You're probably right.
Yeah. So, I mean, it would be really exciting if I'm wrong, and it would be fantastic for the Big Ten if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But, we'll just have to wait and see. And, this whole thing about something happening this week, hey, look, tomorrow's Wednesday. That's halfway through the week. We didn't get anything today.
Tomorrow's Wednesday.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, tomorrow is Wednesday. What am I? Okay, so I was thinking today, holy smokes, I'm out of it. I was thinking, holy smokes, I thought July 9th was Monday, July 10th is Tuesday. Okay, so tomorrow's Wednesday, July 10th. Yeah, I think the window of time is really that July 11th, July 12th, right?
At the end of the week, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it is. But are they going to have someone announce? I guess they would be, if they were going to do it at the end of this week, they would be avoiding, stealing the Big 12's thunder, I guess, and then sort of making the announcement prior to the next media days, which is going to be the 15th for the SEC. So, they would need to do it somewhere in between those two. If they were going to do it in the near term, it should be in between those two dates.
Yeah.
So, So anyway, I don't know if we're going to get anything this week or not, but, we'll see. It's going to be an eventful month, I think.
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, Greg, that's all I had. I'll catch up with you later.
Appreciate it, Tristan. Call again, sir.
All right. Thanks, Greg. Bye.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Great call. Bill G., Oklahoma State alum, longtime football season ticket holder. I agree with Greg the Cooler that Ollie Gordon should be benched for one game.
Call from
ABO Prep.
Soap, can you hold a second here?
Absolutely.
Got a very generous donation, super chat from Bill G. I agree that Ollie Gordon should be benched for one game. He was charged with a DUI yesterday. I don't know if it was juvenile or adult. And again, I guess, I got to be careful here, right? I mean, Ollie Gordon has not been found guilty. So we got to take that into big consideration. So I kind of want to rephrase what I said earlier. If he is found guilty of this DUI, and if it happens before the first game of the week, I think he should be suspended for one game. So I guess I want to rephrase that. My apologies. I think there's probably a good segment of the Oklahoma State Cowboy fan base that agrees. But whatever. Either way, hopefully Ollie Gordon learned a lesson, doesn't do it again. Hopefully he doesn't have any issues. And he is an incredible running back, and we're all excited to watch him play. Just hope he takes care of himself and everybody else. Anyways, go ahead. So the floor is yours. Thank you for your super chat, Bill G. I do appreciate your incredible generosity once again.
Well, Greg, howdy from 1800s Texas, where it is 94 degrees and no electricity. I joined about 3 million of my fellow Houstonians who haven't had power since Sunday night. And as I watch everything in my freezer defrost and go to waste, I have to tell you how much I've enjoyed listening to you today. As my phone dwindles, as the battery dwindles on my phone, I really been my one joy for the day.
I appreciate those kind words. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to ask you about the naming rights to the Big 12. I think that is probably the most obvious thing that we can look at that's going to happen at some point in time. We don't know anything in realignment that's going to happen, but there's a pretty good chance that the Big 12 is going to change their name and sell their naming rights. Now, I would have thought that the best time for that would have been the meeting going on right now in Las Vegas. Probably the last thing that they would do is announce this big arrangement with Allstate or whoever it might be. But they wouldn't do that, or do you think that they wouldn't do that if they knew there was a good chance that they were going to bring in 4 new teams for the 2025 season? You would want to bring in the new teams and then announce this arrangement with Allstate, as opposed to doing it now and then adding teams at a later date and losing kind of some of the splash. So if there's not an announcement tomorrow, could that possibly be an indicator that there is something brewing on the front and that we might see expansion, or am I just reaching for something that's not there?
Well, I think you're reaching, but I know I'm reaching, so why can't you reach? We're all reaching here. Unless one of us knows what's happening. If you do, please give me a call here at Peek Around the Corner. Give us a call. I think we're all reaching.
Well, wouldn't tomorrow be a good time if they knew that they weren't going to add teams in 2025 to announce that Allstate was going to buy the naming rights and it would begin in 2024, seeing that this is like the start of the season?
I just gotta from what Brett Yormark said and how he said it, I got a feeling that I don't think they're ready yet. Like, I think they're still negotiating that.
Okay.
I would bet on that. I could be wrong, but I would bet on that.
Well, as I melt away from that bastard child Burrell that came through here, we got the dirty side of that storm, and I'll go ahead and I guess I better start eating stuff, huh?
Got it. Yeah, start eating it. I wish I could help you, man. You know how I am.
Oh, no. It's part of living on the Gulf Coast, man.
All right.
These things happen.
Yeah, my prayers to you. Okay, stay safe.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Greg.
Bye-bye. Congratulations to Dennis Haiti, Joe Long, the Eva Badger, Ryan Willie, Kenneth Maynor, and Laura Wellborn. You are all knighted, cloak and dagger. Congratulations. That means that you can go to our membership-only episodes. We dropped one a few days ago. Take a look. I think it was episode 42 where we dropped a little bit of cloak and dagger info. There may be one being dropped. There is going to be one dropped. I shouldn't say that. There may be an episode dropped here on a Thursday or Friday of this week. So keep your head on a swivel. But at any rate, if you are a member, you can go and watch those membership-only programs. If you want to become a member, go to the description box. Hit the link and then hit the join button and become a member of this Rebel Outpost college football program. So congratulations to Dennis Haiti, Joe Long, Ryan Willie, Kenneth Manning, Laura Wellborn. You are all knighted, cloak and dagger. Congratulations. If you're new to the channel, if you haven't done so yet, please hit the subscribe button. Turn on your notifications. We can come on live at any time. We come on in the morning. We come on at lunchtime. We come on in the evening time. There's been a couple times where we've come on around midnight because of breaking news or some news that I've been given. So you've got to subscribe and have your notifications turned on. And please smash the like button if you enjoy our content today. The phone lines are still open. 763-260-1333. Thank you, Ryan Thomas, Tom Watson, Bill G, for your generous donation to help us keep the lights on here. Phone lines are open, 763-260-1333. In regards to the Josh Pate, of all the teases, I am Minnesota accent, northern Minnesota accent. And I can't get rid of it. Plus, I was deaf. I could not hear the first 7 years of my life. So I have a strong Minnesota accent with, I can't pronounce a lot of words. I can't pronounce my R's. I can't even pronounce my name Greg correctly. So why am I cannot, I'm not able to communicate. So why do I have a college football YouTube channel? Your guess is as good as mine. One more aspect. Okay, and you guys are going to say, Greg, man, your cheese have slipped off your cracker. Of all the teases of Josh Pate, of all of them, there is two that I focus on the most. The last one in regards to him saying he thinks something is going to break at the end of this week. He didn't say for sure, but he thinks, I just know how that rings true to me. Like, he really, really, really believes whatever he's being told. It's about who's ever pulling the lever and pushing the button, it's about to happen. Because he's condensed the timeline. I've done that before. You guys have seen me do that. And that's kind of how sometimes, a lot of times it works. That part of it really hits me. But the very first clue still hits me. And I know you guys are going to think, Greg, you're an idiot for thinking this, but the very first clue was the glass shaken, the water in the glass. Josh, in my opinion, Josh Pate would not have used that GIF. He would not have used that glass shaken with T-Rex making that glass shake. He would not have used that if it wasn't a big, impactful story. There's so many other things he could have done. So I don't think we're like... There is big stories that could come out, but I don't think it's water shaken story. You know, I know a lot of people believe it's Florida State announcing they're leaving the conference. That's a big story. But it doesn't fit hardly any of the clues. And it isn't... I don't think that's it. I could be wrong. But that glass shaken is T-Rex making it shake. ESPN, Notre Dame. It could be Florida State leaving, saying they're leaving. But when he said Florida State is the face of this, but it's going to affect other schools, it wasn't, to me, it was not an individual Florida State story. As big as it would be if Florida State says we're out of here, we're leaving, here's the notice of withdrawal, we're leaving July 1st, 2025, with or without our media rights. I don't think they're going to do that, but whatever. That would be a big story, no question about it. But the way Josh Pate phrased it in his first tease, it didn't seem like an individual Florida State story. It is something gigantic that's going to affect Florida State, the other schools. Somebody's pushing the lever, pulling the button. They've been delaying it. Anyways, I just wanted to put that out. If this is true, I think it's a big one. I don't think it's something that's just... We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. All right, we'll shut this show down. We've been on the air for 2.5 hours. Please, if you haven't done so, please subscribe to our channel and have your notifications turned on. And if you can leave, please, when you do leave, please smash the like button. It helps us with the algorithm of YouTube so very much. I want to thank you all for the wonderful donations to help us keep the lights on, the great comments in the chat room, and of course the tremendous phone calls from many of you. This is a show driven by you, the callers, by you, PATC community. We are the National College Football YouTube channel that has phone calls every single show. You guys are the straw that stirs the drink. Stay with us here at Peek Around the Corner as we go through this possibly epic week of July 8th, 9, 10, 11, 12. Buckle up, brace for impact. Until next time. From all of us at College Football's Peek Around the Corner to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.